What's good, sports gamers? Playing good interior defense can give you a huge advantage in terms of winning and the quickest way to get blown out if you're weak down low. And today I'll be going over with you some basics and things you might not have known to help improve your interior defense in NBA 2K22 on current and next gen consoles. So alright, let's get it. The first thing I want to go over with you guys is you must be comfortable switching on to the guy closest to the basket for many reasons. But one of the first is to avoid fouls by the computer. Because when you don't switch to the last line of defense and your opponent, whether it's the computer or human, goes up for a shot, they're gonna rely on the defender's foul tendencies more often than not to determine how that interaction is gonna go. And a lot of bigs have super high foul tendencies, so your opponent is almost guaranteeing themselves at least a trip to the line if you leave it up to the computer to defend. Now, some guys have super low foul tendencies, allowing them to straight dominate you if you go at them crazy. But more often than not, you're gonna have to switch on to cancel the foul tendency of that player that's about to kick in. And to switch, you either hit A or X on your controller to the closest guy to the ball, or hit R1 or RB on your controller, then L1 or LB to switch to the guy closest to the basket to take control of that guy. Now, once you have switched on to the defender closest to the basket, it's time to defend it. And although not as effective as in years past, there's still a time and a place where it's your best option, and that's hands up defense, which you perform by holding the right stick up, and the further away from the rim you are, basically as long as your defender is not parked in a restricted area and you're already between the ball handler and the basket, is when you're gonna want to utilize this to give yourself the best shot of the shooter missing the shot. Now, there are instances where you want to transition from hands up into a block attempt, and it's when you notice the animation the game has given your opponent is actively avoiding your hands up defense. And if you see that occurring, you just hit Y or triangle to adjust and attempt to block it. Because not every time you're gonna get a stone shot attempt that looks like this. Sometimes it's gonna look like this, and unless you adjust, they will have a very good shot of scoring on you. Now, like I just went over, the game does reward you for actually jumping. And this comes into play when you're out of position, chasing, or pushed nearly under the rim. And the two things you must always avoid when jumping to block is jumping too soon like a rookie, which is a temptation for many, and fouling like your Pat Bev. You can avoid jumping before they even attempt a shot or at the first sign of a pump fake by just staring at the player's body so you have a cue to go off of instead of what you expect to happen. Because guys know what the normal player will expect in certain situations and feed off of that. So let the block come to you by having them confirm through their body that they're airborne. Just because they lift first doesn't mean you won't get to the ball or affect the shot in time. Increasing your patience can expose guys who solely are relying on you jumping early, and you can force them into a terribly contested shot. And to further detail the times when you're gonna need to jump is again when you're clearly beaten and when you're pushed under the rim, because hands up defense won't be able to help you consistently here. And not sure if you know this, but there are two different types of block attempts that you're gonna have to have at your disposal. When you're beat, you're gonna wanna be aggressive with your block attempt, which you can do by holding the right trigger and then triangle or Y on your controller to increase your chances of blocking a shot. But you're also more likely to completely remove yourself from the play if you miss. You hope to not be in this situation often, but when it does occur, you want to do anything possible to prevent that guaranteed 2 points. Then there's the opportunity when you're pushed nearly under the rim, which is bad news for you. You're going to want to simply hold the Y or triangle button to lessen the chance of fouling, and more so you do it to affect his shot than block it and get the ball handler in the red. Another way to improve your interior defense is getting the right guys in position to do so. A lot of the times when you miss a shot and a fast break starts, your two big men who 99.99% of the time are your best interior defenders are usually the last people up the court because of their positioning previously on offense. So another way to boost your interior defense, and this is talking more so for modes when you're playing with regular players, but can apply to others, is altering the positioning of some of your players that makes sense. Like running plays or freelances where your best big defender is stationed around the wing or at the top of the key instead of in the corner. So if you somehow miss a shot, guess who's the first guy back ready to defend any immediate threats instead of your 6'3" point guard. And lastly now, if you want to cause more havoc in the post, and I went over this in my last video, but for those who didn't see it, I don't know if you noticed, but you can generate steal opportunities in the post when the player goes to attack by simply hitting X or square on your controller. Whether it's from a regular matchup or a mismatch, hitting the steal button once your opponent starts to attack is a good way to create turnovers for yourself. Now, it won't always work and you may leave yourself exposed to something easy, but you increase your chances of stopping them cold if you time your steal attempt right when they show the ball. So alright, sports gamers, I hope this video was able to help out your interior defense and you came away learning just even one thing new. And if you like the content we provide, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more NBA 2K22 content. And once you're with us, hit that bell icon at the bottom so you don't miss anything we put out. Alright people, I'm Chris. Thank you all for watching and be good, y'all.